Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sin and today I want to talk about season 3 of Bridgerton. I've been invested, truly invested in the Bridgerton universe since season 2 with Anthony and Kate. I do want to preface this by saying I know that the show is based on novels. I have not had the luxury to read them quite yet. I'm in the middle of reading them. I don't really know the official lore in the books, but I'm going off what I'm seeing on TV. So much happened between the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3. They gave a recap, but basically Eloise found out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown. Kate and Anthony have been on their honeymoon. The Featherington girls got married. The most confusing one to me, Eloise is friends with Cressida now. All that to say, start this season with Colin being introduced as the love interest because he just came back from travel and he's all chiseled and he has all this attention from the ladies and no one can believe it. They can't believe it. I don't believe it. No one's believing it. And I know they did some things in the wardrobe and costume department to make him sexier this season. I know he has a lot more shirtless scenes and he has his shirts are more open because it used to be he had all this frill and stuff because he was still a boy and now he's a man. So also this season their sister Francesca is debuting. I didn't realize how much Francesca doesn't like a big family dynamic. The way that she's portrayed in this season makes it seem like she cannot stand her family. Oh, also she's the middle kid, right? But much like the queen, we didn't really care too much because I know this season's supposed to be the focus is on Penelope and Colin, right? So it's oh, that's right, Francesca's of age and she's gonna have a storyline to a degree, but that's not why we're all here. We're here for Penelope and Colin and the drama that those two are gonna ensue. But it's nice, she's there. We're gonna allow it.
I'll allow it.
After Francesca is debuted to society and the queen is unimpressed, some of us are this first half of the season, then we get, I believe it's a daytime promenade or something, and we kind of see all of the main characters this season interacting with each other for the first time. And we get, at least to my knowledge, the first time Eloise and Cressida are friends in front of Penelope, and Penelope's reaction to it.
Shall we go and get some lemonade?
Splendid idea. It's not congenial to be back from the country.
It's the first hit to Penelope's ego, and the second hit is Colin shows up and he hasn't even apologized for what he said last season. Might I remind you was this.
Are you mad? I would never dream of courting Penelope Featherington. Not in your wildest fantasies, Fife.
Asshole. Then they start leaving, the Featheringtons leave to go home, and Penelope's mom says this.
I take comfort in knowing that you will always be here to take care of me.
Her mom basically sees her as a retirement plan. So that was the final nail in the coffin for Penelope's ego, and she's just determined from that point on to find herself a husband. I also wanted to add this. People have been talking about the vibe of the show. It just feels off. It feels different. And I have two theories as to why that is. One, the showrunners have kind of been replaced. The showrunners were Chris Van Dusen, and he stepped down and he's only being credited as the creator now, and Jess is running the show on her own. And so it's under new creative management. So it's gonna feel different while she's trying to find her footing as the sole showrunner on the show. And the second thing is there's not as many spicy scenes. I've read numerous articles that the actress that plays Penelope, Nicola, she wanted it to be kept a little more on the PG side, just so that she could enjoy this show with her parents. That might be the reason for the slower burn of the romance vibe and aesthetic of the show. I'll have to rewatch the first 2 seasons, but something I've noticed personally, a lot more handheld, and that is a choice. That is a cinematic choice we are making, Jess. Yes, it is. And if you do, look, not all of us are watching Bridgerton because of the spicy scenes. It definitely helps, you know, move the plot along. If that is what draws you in, you want more of that, I suggest Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story. If you are shameless and you're like, oh, I only watch Bridgerton for like the hot, steamy scenes, Queen Charlotte, but forget about Bridgerton. Queen Charlotte, that's what you want to turn on. I mean, that's what you want to watch. And she is turning heads. Everyone's heads is turning. But much like everything in life, just because you change the outside doesn't mean the inside has changed, and she is still very socially awkward and shy and can't really talk to guys. And it doesn't really help that Cressida has kind of picked her to be the target of her bullying and harassment. And I get it, Cressida fights a little dirty when it comes to like the marriage department, you know, but ripping Penelope's dress in front of a potential suitor, let's maybe dial it back a little. Let's be ladies about this. And so because of the dress ripping, she runs off, and Colin finally talks to her.
Something wrong? Pen. Between us, I mean. I wrote to you this summer, as I always do, and, well, you did not respond.
I'm still not convinced that they are love interests, let alone friends. I'm gonna need more from Colin. It's not cutting it. Last season, you said you wouldn't be caught dead talking to this girl. And all of a sudden it's, oh, I miss you. You're spinning the block. No. I need him on his knees. I need him groveling. I need him begging. I need him to earnestly stare into the depths of her eyes, into her soul, beg for mercy and forgiveness for a second chance at possible courtship, let alone marriage. That's what I need. I don't need some half-ass, I wrote to you last summer and you didn't write. All I have to say. And then they sprinkle in a little more Kate and Anthony just to keep me invested. I know what you're doing. Jess, I know what you're doing. You know, I don't really care for Colin's explanations and I wrote to you last summer bullshit speech, and you're roping my interest back in with Kate and Anthony. It's shameless and it's working and I love it and I'm here for it. And then the next day, Colin visits Penn. And I think this is where they hatch up the plan to like teach her charm, and they shake on him. So then Colin goes home.
Where were you?
Nowhere. What are you reading?
Nothing. Whistle down. You are mentioned.
This is what piques my interest about this exchange. Eloise knows that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. Colin does not know Lady Whistledown's identity, and that it is Penelope. Colin is in love with Penelope. And so if this romance continues, which it will, which we all know, like they end up together or whatever, I want to know how Colin will react to the fact that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. He vows to destroy this woman's life, not knowing that the woman's life he's vowing to destroy, love of his life. See, that's what I'm here for. So the lessons begin, and promptly they're interrupted. But what I love, word gets out that Colin is helping Penelope. But you as a viewer, the irony of watching Penelope write this shit about herself, crazy. Honestly, I find it hilarious because she has to write it in third person, like, oh, Penelope enlisted the help of Sir Bridgerton Colin. Whole time it's her writing this. Because they had a conversation about this, and Colin literally goes like, oh, who cares? Like, she's just a gossip. And Penelope goes, well, she had to write about it. It'd be weird if she had not.
What do you mean by that?
If I was Colin, that would be my reaction. Like, what do you mean by that? It would be suspicious. Why would it be suspicious? That's suspicious. What you just said, that's weird. But Colin doesn't care. Then we meet Lord Devlin. I am Lord Devling's biggest fan. Apparently he is a rich, handsome man who travels, and he's looking for a wife to keep his house warm while he's away on his travels and be faithful to him. Is that a lot to ask of someone? Yes, but think about it this way. In terms of regency, it's kind of like the perfect match. People back then didn't marry for love, they married for practicality and to produce heirs. So the fact that you could bag a handsome, rich man that you don't have to deal with, everybody, not just Penelope and Cressida, everybody of eligible age should have been fiending for this man. In theory, right? Like, the worst things about him was, one, he wasn't around, and two, he was a vegetarian. So I am team Pen and Lord Devling. Take the premise that this season is about Penelope and Colin falling in love. She's on a mission to find a husband. Is Colin meddling a little bit? Oh, absolutely. But Colin didn't want to see her with someone else, but also made it clear that he didn't want her. Do you see my gripe with Colin now? Do you see why I cannot stand this man? But just when I get worked up,
There's a matter I must discuss with you first.
we get an Anthony and Kate break. And I eat it up. I eat it up because I love them. I love them so much. And I would pay any money in the world to have my memory wiped clean of those two characters in season 2, just so I could watch them fall in love for the first time again. Then we get this hot air balloon scene. It's sort of awkward because this is where we're seeing Cressida and Penelope fight over Lord Devling's attention. And the hot air balloon, just in time, becomes untied and is like floating away, and Colin jumps in and like saves the day by like pulling it back and like stopping it just in time before it hits Penelope. And Lord Devling jumps on top of Penelope, like that's gonna do something. The effort was there, and we're gonna appreciate effort. Because of this, they almost share a very nice moment, which is short-lived because Cressida could never let that happen. She's fighting for her place in society. So she obviously fakes an injury and walks away with this man. And this is what I want to say about Cressida. Does she play dirty? Yes. You gotta put it into perspective. Like, she can't go to college and like make her own career and become stable. Like, she has been out for almost 3 years in society with no prospects, and we just found out that her dad cut her allowance in half. She's basically being punished for not being married. She's gonna do what she feels like she has to do to get married this season. That being said, I think it was a little selfish of Daphne to pull the prince from her. What was the reason? What was the reason? She didn't even like the prince. Did it just to get back at Simon, who then she ended up marrying and having a kid with, so she's all right. But it cost Cressida a potential match, and now she's over here fighting for her life under a hot air balloon. Daphne, I can't get behind that. You're not a girl's girl for that. Cressida could have been a princess, and we would have been done with her seasons ago. I feel like Cressida is a victim here. As much as she tries to like have this hard exterior and be this bad, mean girl that like pushes Penelope and bullies her, which is not nice, and I'm not saying it's okay, but she is a victim. And she should have been married to the prince, is all I'm gonna say. Because if Daphne didn't even want him, what was the harm in letting Cressida have him? Moving along, that night, Violet meets Lady Donbury's brother.
You do not know that about her?
I know there's this like running joke online that Shonda Rhimes only likes like interracial marriages, and the Bridgertons they're down bad for these men. And honorary mention for Violet's father, who got with Lady Donbury. The Bridgertons have a type. This is the politest way I'm saying that. The Bridgertons have a type. So yeah. So at this ball where Violet meets Lady Donbury's brother, Pen and Cressida are still fighting for Lord Devling's attention, but Pen pulls him in by being vulnerable. And again, Cressida just cannot win. Back to Francesca for just a moment. At the hot air balloon thing, the queen introduced her to someone, and she had made it very clear, like, whatever man the queen picks out for her, she's most likely gonna lean into it and just say yes and get married to that person. But we're there at this ball, he mentions that he wants a big family. He loves his big family. He wants a big family just like the one he's like been a part of. Big turnoff for Francesca. And during this time, she goes outside for some peace and quiet, and she finds Mr. Sterling.
Can enjoy the silence together.
And they both enjoy peace and quiet. And then he calls on her the next day, and they just sit in silence, enjoying it, and they love it, and they're falling more in love. So that's very nice. The next scene is my absolute favorite scene in this entire show. They're talking in book terms, and he basically asks if he were to propose, how should he go about doing that? And we get this amazing scene.
Do you know what is romantic? Security. Be smart, Penelope.
And I love this scene because one thing about Lady Featherington, with all her faults and all her flaws, she is a woman's woman. She is a girl's girl through and through. She's raised 3 strong, confident, personality-filled young women, and she's kept them afloat, scandal after scandal after scandal. And from finding out the truth of their finances. She has been keeping it together from season 1. I am a Lady Featherington stan. I truly am. I'm not gonna ride hard for her, but I see the work she's putting in, and I'm gonna give it to her. I'm gonna give credit where it's due. She's trying to secure her future with Penelope, and Penelope's talking about love. I swear to God, I would have lost it too. Lady Featherington is like Kris Jenner. Tell me I'm lying. Lady Featherington is like Kris Jenner. She's gonna manage her daughters and turn them into something, make money off of them, and just secure their place in society. No matter how notorious they are, no matter how many scandals and publications are written about them, she's gonna make sure her kids are all right. Now we're towards the end of the 4th episode. And the drama heats up because remember, the queen had picked someone out for Francesca. But Francesca is into Mr. Sterling, and she thought that he curved her the other day. You know, she went up and introduced herself, or they chit-chatted, and he ran off. And so she's like, oh, he didn't care about me. Whole time, he went to get sheet music for the music they listen to in the streets. She ran home and played that sheet music. That was a very sweet gesture. And they seem to be on similar wavelengths. And Violet is seeing that. As much as she wants to appease the queen, as much as the queen wants to be right, Violet is going to ultimately tell Francesca to follow her heart, and I think they're going to get married. Back at the ball, because Francesca left early with her mom, back at the ball, as I guess they're leaving, as Francesca and her mom are leaving, Colin is arriving. Just stir up trouble.
I'm up to no good. For real.
He cuts into their dance, and this obviously upsets Lord Dublin, and Cressida stirs the pot. He basically Lord Dublin basically breaks up with Penelope because he knows. And she can't deny she's had this lifelong crush, and it's not gonna go away out of nowhere. And she could have fought harder, but I know she didn't want to. The guy that you've been obsessed with your whole life that told you no once is spinning back around. You're gonna give him a chance. I know. It gets messy. He breaks up with her, runs off. She feels really bad, runs off. Colin runs after her. They enter the carriage. He confesses his love to her. Again, this isn't me being nitpicky, but it is, because why are you just being oh, yeah, I've loved you this whole time. I need you to get on your knees and grovel and beg. I need to see more passion from Colin. And I need it stat. And I also would like to believe it, because it's like he's saying it out the side of his mouth. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Penelope doesn't believe it. The only person that believes it here is Lord Dudley. So we get the infamous carriage scene. And that's all we're getting this season. But I'm not mad about it. People ate it up, you know? People love spice. No matter how tame the spice, people love spice. And that's where we leave off. We leave off with this big cliffhanger and Colin basically proposing. I feel like I might have been like maybe too critical of them. But their romance was like really on brand for their personalities, this entire time. So I hope it didn't come off of me like being like a Colin and Penelope like hater. Plus, I was rooting for Lord, Debling, and Penn. It's kind of how I feel. And I also have faith. I have faith in part 2, which is gonna come out. I'm really excited to see where it all goes. As much as like I haven't been as like blindly in love with these characters in this season, I am interested. You know, you've piqued my interest. So I kind of just want to see how things play out. And I also want to know what you guys think. Like, are you guys as invested as you were last season? Do you like Penn and Colin more than you like Anthony or Daphne's story? Like, I am so curious to know. Please comment below. You know, what are you guys' thoughts? What do you think is going to happen? I want to hear what other people are saying and thinking. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.